We have some really bad news for secularism today, and I think I may be the most upset over this because, I don't know if you noticed, my show's called SecularTalk. Listen to this. On the same day President Trump vowed to destroy a law preventing religious groups and churches from engaging in political activities, Republicans in the House and Senate introduced legislation to make the proposal reality. The law, known as the Johnson Amendment, first enacted in 1954, prohibits churches and other religious organizations from keeping their tax-exempt status if they endorse political candidates or participate in partisan political activities. The bill, introduced Thursday by Representative Jody Hice, who is a Southern Baptist pastor, and House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, will let the organizations remain tax-exempt and express political views as long as they are made during regular activities. So, I grew up in New York, and I was raised Catholic. Of course, now I'm an agnostic atheist. But, you know, it's interesting. When I was younger, I do distinctly remember being in church, and at least for the Catholic Church here in New York, they never said anything political. Like, they really didn't. And the masses were boring as a motherfucker. You know, they did a reading from John and blah, 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 blah. And the Lord said unto them, tell the Amalekites about the blah, blah, blights and blah. So I remember thinking, this is boring as fuck. But you look back at it, you go, oh, so they're avoiding getting overtly political and doing right-wing talking points or left-wing talking points because they'd lose their tax-exempt status. And you want to keep your tax-exempt status, right? So when you reflect on that, you go, oh, that's a brilliant law, because what it does is it really ensures secularism. Now, secularism, of course, is the idea that you have a complete separation of church and state. So politics is way over there in that corner doing its own thing, and religion is way over there in that corner doing its own thing. You don't intertangle them or intertwine them or have people with goofy-ass hats with metaphysical beliefs controlling policy. That's the way it's supposed to work. So if you're a Muslim fundamentalist, you can't take your philosophy and try to implement it to force other people to follow your religion. If you're a Christian, you can't do it. If you're a Hindu, you can't do it. You get the picture. So that really ensures secularism to say, okay, you can't impose your religion on anybody through the state. Brilliant. But also add the extra layer on it of, if the churches get political, well, that means they're on some level trying to destroy secularism, so they lose their tax-exempt status. Brilliant, brilliant law. Now they're saying, no, let's go in the other direction. Oh, no. See, this is the slippery slope to the destruction of secularism. That's what this is. And this is why it's disastrous when you have the far right take over and you have the Christian fundamentalists take over, because they want to destroy the fabric of what makes this country great. I mean, what makes this country great? Free speech, free expression, freedom of religion. Yes, you could practice whatever you want to practice, but also secularism. So you practice whatever religion you want to practice, but that's your own goddamn business. Don't you dare try to push that on the state. By the way, my fucking contacts aren't in right, so if you see me looking all weird and creepy, it's because I'm trying to get the kinks and the blurs out of my eye. Don't ask, long story. If they succeed in getting rid of this, the United States just took a giant step closer to theocracy. It's been the wet dream of the right for a long time. Turn the United States of America into a Christian theocracy. Make us the Christian Saudi Arabia. Now they're getting closer to it. Donald Trump, I thought was, hey, he's just paying lip service to the Christian fundamentalists because that's his base. He wants to shore him up to get elected. But you look back and you look at his commitments, and it really is scary because he's controlled by the last person in the room because he wants to please the last people in the room. And for example, when he had a meeting with Christian fundamentalists, he signed a pledge to ban porn. These are the kinds of people who can affect public policy. These are the kinds of lunatics with primitive belief systems who can affect policy. And now if this law goes away, every single church in the South all of a sudden becomes overtly political, and you get overtly political and religious mixed individuals wanting to get power and wanting to implement the religious philosophy into government. This is a horrific thing. And by the way, I'm against this as a matter of principle. So even if you have uber left-wing people and they're left-wing based on their interpretation of their religion and they want power because they want to implement a religious left-wing ideology, I'm still against it. Because you have to divorce religion from state. You can't, if you're coming to a conclusion based on your religion and then you try to implement that in the state, that's null and void and illegitimate by definition. Because you're not reasoning based on the real world and empiricism and democracy and what's best for the people. You're going based off of, I think my wizard in space tells me to do X. I don't care about your wizard in space. They have no business in the government. So this is a giant step in the wrong direction, and we can only hope that it gets slapped down, and we can only hope that the Democrats somehow grow a backbone and a spine, and they can defeat draconian legislation like this.